Hello and welcome to another episode of the Hollywood Knitter. My name is Allison and this is my vidcast. I'm recording on Sunday, May 26, 2024. It is Memorial Day weekend in the United States, so this is a holiday weekend for us and kind of our unofficial beginning of summer. And I have a bin of things, and so I thought I would sit down and podcast because I have some time. And yeah, let's see what we get into. So what's been happening? Life, work, travel, all the fun stuff. And as I said, summer is beginning. So I've got FOs and whips and some stories and upcoming things going on. Let's jump into the knitting. First up is pair of socks. These are the Leap Year socks by Summer Lee. Summer Lee is a sock designer. I first heard about her or saw her on Instagram. She does beautiful shots. And then she started designing a lot of very popular sock patterns. She just came out with her first book, and now she's doing a YouTube podcast. So I highly recommend checking her out. She is out of Oklahoma. She is very fun to watch. She has a wonderful color sense. I'm really enjoying her aesthetic, and I have been. The socks were, I think they were a free pattern she gave. They're her Leap Year socks. But anyways, here's my pair. And it's just a kind of, there we go, slip stitch with some like alternating garter stitch. I did my own contrast toe heel, and then in this she has some stripes in the cuff. Take a look at her socks. Mine are very different because they're very dark. The yarn is Yarn Geek Rocketeer to Boldly Go, and this was a skein that I had like a lot of. I think the skein was like 500 something yards when I got it. So I actually last time showed you my brother's socks. I made him a pair of shorties, and then with the rest of it I decided to make myself a pair so that we will have matching socks when we go to Morocco. So yeah, so pretty pleased with them. As I said, she is a sock designer. Although I attribute her pattern, I very loosely follow the pattern because I do almost all of my socks toe up. And so if a sock designer has a pattern that either I bought or whatever because I want to support, because I'm going to use kind of the inspired by. Sorry about that. Hopefully I cut that sneeze out. I almost always change it to toe up. So although I use the kind of the pattern as the inspiration, I don't follow the pattern usually. And I didn't in this either because hers are top down and I did my toe up. Anyways, loving the socks, love the color, love having a pair. As I said, these are going to be for me, but they are going to stay out of rotation for quite a few months. The other thing I did, which I don't have to show, is I finished my knockers, I think, for the next few months. And so these were the knitted knockers I was doing. These are the charity that is sponsored by the Northern California Knitting Retreat, or kind of their charity of choice. And I've been knitting for a few years, and you knit prosthetic kind of boobies that can be used after a woman has a mastectomy or something like that, before it, or permanently if they choose not to have reconstruction. And I was knitting on them using, you have to use a cotton yarn. I was using Cascade Pima, Ultra Pima, and then I basically had like 3 or 4 skeins. And so once that was all used up, I got 10 individual boobies out of it. And so then I was kind of done for a little while. So I already put them away. I may do more later this year because I do still have some more cotton yarn, but I'm all good with that for now. The other thing I finished, which is a big thing, and this is one of my Make 9. So my Make 9 is patterns that I pick at the beginning of the year to do with stash that I have on hand, and it's to help me get rid of stash. I try to focus on old stash and things like that. And this was a shawl to use some fingering weight, and it is the Sky Storm. Let me make sure I'm holding it the right way. No, that's the back side. Not that it matters too much. The Sky Storm by Stephen West, who is always great with doing, you know, fingering weight kind of patterns. So you can kind of see, and then it's got a wavy edge. And so I used 3 skeins. This was a half skein, 3 Irish Girls that in Adorn Luxe and Marco Polo that I got in the goodie bag from Zombie Apocalypse 2017. And then this kind of color, which is the darker color. So you basically do it, you're increasing, and then, you know, you fade, then you do that, and then you fade, and then you do the third color. So the second color is Muse 2020 Mockingbird and Zombie Fireworks. This was in the Zombie Apocalypse 2022 goodie bag. And then the last one, this is Invictus yarn, Sue from Invictus. I've gone to the knitting retreat in Northern California with her a few times. This was her 80% wool, 20% silk base and revved. And this I got as a prize, I think, at Knockers 2017. So all of the blue, pretty much all of this, and then it was a half skein, and I got a very generous, my wingspan is 68, so it's probably 70-ish, and then it's kind of deep, and I just blocked it yesterday. But yeah, so I think I didn't have someone in mind when I was making this initially. I wanted kind of a mindless knit when I went to the Northern California knitting retreat. It's a lot of, you know, just increasing on the edges and lots of garter. There are some, where's my increases? You can see kind of increases every so often. So it was very easy to memorize. And now I think I'm going to give it to my grandmother. So we are going to Florida in July for my grandmother's 93rd birthday. I missed her 90th. I think my mom went, but I haven't seen her since pre-COVID. So time to go. And I think I'm going to gift her this. I have no idea if she'll love it or hate it or whatever, but she does live in Florida. It does get cool. And then I just love the kind of have the beachy vibes, but then it's still very, because of the color scheme, I think it's very elegant looking. So yeah, I'm super pleased with it. Super pleased. I haven't done a shawl in a while, and one, to get the yarn out of my stash, because it was all 2017. 2 of them were 2017, and then the other one. And then that they paired so well together that they were just randomly in my stash. And now that I have a recipient for it. So super pleased with this. This took me, I don't know, about a little over like 6 or 7 weeks to make. Yeah. And then the details, as I said, is pretty easy. It's I-cord. It's a knit-in I-cord edge the entire time, and then the I-cord bind off. I thought I was going to be playing yarn chicken. I was measuring as I got to the end because I was worried about the bind off, and I was pretty sure I was going to have enough, and I did. I had exactly 1 gram left. So close. It was awesome. It was like, you win at yarn chicken. It's the best. So yeah, Skystorm by Stephen West. And it is going to, I need to fold it nicely and put it away. The last thing that I have to show you, which I just took off, I don't know, oh, here they are, a pair of scrappy socks that I cast on, I don't know, I cast on because I needed something more mindless. I needed a pair of mindless socks, so I cast on a scrappy socks to be in my purse, and then because of the way I did it, it wasn't as mindless as I wanted. But I picked 3 skeins, and I did a, what do you call it? Barber pole. I did barber pulling. So this was one I did, I think this is the only one I named. It was Desert Panda. I had like 30 grams. And then I picked a green neon mini, and then I picked a peach neon mini. And these were in my mini stash. I don't even know where they're from. And then the toes are actually a darker peach. It's not the same as this one or what's carried in the sock, but very similar. And then I used that dark peach to cast off. And I didn't have enough to do the same, so the heels have different ones, and that way I was able to use it all up. As I said, super mindless, very bright for me, just little shorties. They were a little tight, so I actually did block them. So I haven't actually tried them on since I blocked them. I don't usually block my socks. But I do find that sometimes if they're a little tight off initially, that if I block them, that obviously you can get a little bit more. So I'm going to put them back on my sock blockers because I have, it's funny, some people have seen it, but I have 2 pairs of sock blockers that I have hanging on my wall downstairs where my desk is. And whatever the latest socks that I've sort of knit for me, and then the latest socks that I've knit for my boyfriend kind of hang on the wall as art until the next pair come. So these will be the next ones to kind of hang up there for a little while. And yeah, so that's all I have for my FOs of right now. Pretty pleased with it. A lot of fingering, a fair amount of yardage in that shawl. So it took some time. Now I only have 2 projects that are going right now. And I think the last one might've been going kind of when I started, and it's my sweater and it's awesome. Now, I have a group of friends, knitting friends, and they like to enable each other. And one of my friends did this sweater, and it kind of inspired all of us to do it. I think I'm the last one casting on mine, but it is the Shocking Stripes by Tori Yu. She is a New York-based designer, and I did my Brooklyn Raglan that I just finished not that long ago was hers, that I actually love wearing a lot. Okay, sorry, I'm untangling it so I can like show it to you in all its kind of glory. Now, even though it says Shocking Stripes, there's really, my stripes aren't shocking. My friend did a much more muted version of this, and so it kind of followed suit. The yarn is Wool Dreamers Cautiva. I don't know the 2 colorways. It's a cream and kind of it's a very light kind of, not lemongrass, but kind of almost greenish gray that I picked up at Rhinebeck last year at the Woolen Folk debacle. But I did get this yarn specifically for this sweater, or I thought it was going to be for this sweater. Interesting details is the neck is cast on and then folded over. So this is a folded over neck. You can kind of see there. And then the stripes are just a knit purl. This is basically, you're seeing the purl bump, and that's kind of, you alternate. So you do a solid stripe of the white and then knit purl, knit purl, knit purl. And that brings, you know, the white to one side on the purl stitch, and then, you know, recedes on the back side with the other one, and then that's it. And then the next one, it's another all white knit. It's super simple. Modifications, I made it a little deeper in the neck. I just kept trying it on. So for the size I'm doing, it didn't fit exactly. And then the other thing I did is I switched where my color change was, because I've learned my lesson on that. Even though it's not that bad, wait, that's not it. Not that bad. I have done my fair share of sweaters. And I think when you have a color work, any kind of color work change, and you do it in the middle of the back, you can always tell. No matter how wonderful a knitter you are. So after I split for the sleeves, I did change it to be under the arm. See, you can see the line. So that, it's not super noticeable, but enough that it would have bothered me in the middle of my back. So I did change it. You can kind of see it, well, you can kind of see it on the top 3 right there before I switched it. So other alterations that I'm doing, I have to make mine longer. Tori likes her sweaters cropped, or she has a short torso. Typically, I think her other one, I had to increase my Brooklyn Raglan too, but she calls for this to be 12 inches from underarm there, and that is not, that's too cropped for me. I'm going probably for 15 inches or so. So I'm going to do a little bit more on the body, and then that should be good. And then I'm going to pick up for sleeves. So yeah, I'm hoping to have this done probably in another few weeks. I want to have it done by the time I go to Zombie Apocalypse. So it's my goal. And then here's the 2 yarns. And it's a very interesting yarn, the Cautiva. I've never knit with it before. It's a Spanish wool, and it's definitely woolly. Yeah, I'm kind of liking it. It's a woolen spun kind of yarn. We'll see how it goes when I get it all done and blocked. And it's very lightweight because it's a sport weight yarn, and then because it's woolen spun, it feels even lighter. So yeah, super happy with it. Super happy. So highly recommend it. Check out the project pages. My friends are now, they love their first one so much that they're talking about doing another one in a moody like darker palette. they're crazy. But it is a very easy pattern, and the stripe is so easy and it keeps you involved and keeps you going, and it's a lot of stockinette. So if that's what you need, it's great. The only other thing is, sorry, I'm looking around. I'm a little discombobulated today. The only other thing is I have another pair of socks. I cast these on to go to a family party because, again, although my scrappy socks weren't hard, I was juggling 3 balls. And so it was a lot of yarn management. That was not the best choice for a purse project. So I went to a family party not that long ago, but I only knit on the car ride. Yes. So I cast on a 1 skein pattern, but I didn't feel like just doing plain. So I cast it around Ravelry, and then I settled on this. Let's see. There we go. This is the Wonderment socks. And it is a pretty pattern. Very easy to memorize, or at least I've memorized it. And I like the texture. And I think I'm gonna just do the texture again because I do mine toe up. I haven't really made too many modifications besides that. So I'm really just using the motif. And I think it was a free pattern. It was by Debbie Ford. And the yarn I'm using is another one to bust out some of that old stash. And it is Suburban Stitcher Sock in Granny Square. It's a 75/25. A little thinner, and I'm really liking it. And these, I haven't decided if these are going to be for me or my mom. But I'm making them for our size foot. So I'm pretty pleased with it. And I'll have a lot left, but I really like it. So, and I matched my yarn to my bag. I have it in a Slip Stitch Studios. I don't think she makes bags anymore. This is one of my earliest sock bags that I got. And I remember that because I forget where I was getting it. I was spending a knitting retreat and she was selling it, and she did handles so it could go on your wrist. And I was like, at the time I was a field inspector. So I was doing a lot of walking around and knitting as I did it. And I said, hey, can you actually make it so it can go on my belt loop? And then I can have it go around and do it. So that's why I know this is one of my old project bags. Now I usually just have a carabiner, and that way, no matter what kind of smaller bag it is, I can hook it to my belt. I've actually had a little bit of knitting in the field lately because I had to cover or assist with some, my project is coming to an end, and so I had to be present for some testing and things like that. And so I was knitting on those scrappy socks, which is now yarn management at 3 balls in the field, because it was not a smart choice. So yeah, so I've had the opportunity to actually knit and get some stuff done while working, which is nice. So that is all of my knitting right now. Now we're going to talk about some recent things I've been doing. So what have I been doing? What have I been up to? Since I last talked to you, I went to the Northern California Knitting Retreat, which is one of my favorite retreats with some of my favorite people. It is hosted by Gail of... Oh, her podcast just went out of my head, and she's so awesome. It's going to come back to me. And the 2 Knit Like Chicks, and then a bunch of other people who are on the steering committee who are amazing people. They all come together and host at this retreat up in San Juan Bautista at a kind of a on-site retreat center. And I guess I've been going since the very beginning, because they were kind of having those who had been from the beginning. So what are we, 9 years, 10 years? A while. It's my favorite retreat because there is no classes really. There's no agenda to the most part. It is a lot of hanging out, chatting, knitting, and the food is pretty good. It was really good this year. You park your car and get there. And my friend Martha came out again this year, so we shared a room this year. And I actually flew, which I would say most of the time I drive, but this year, because she was getting a rental car and flying in, I just made it so that I could fly in around the same time, and that gives me more knitting time. It's a 5-hour drive if I drive up, 4.5, because I drive fast. So yeah, but at that retreat, well, you got a goodie bag. And so the goodie bag this year was so awesome and very different that I wanted to share kind of the thing. So this is the this is the retreat bag, and it's almost like a military kind of duffel bag. So it's got that great kind of shape, and then it's got a drawstring at the top, and then you can carry it like a backpack, with like a one-arm backpack. So I like it. They always, my friend Mary, who gets the bag, she always knocks it out of the park with different things. So yeah, so I like that. And there was also a wonderful Stanley Esch. Was an actual Stanley, but Stanley like giant cup, which had the motif on, and I have downstairs in my knitting area. I actually just keep it full of water all the time. And some other little goodies that were done that I can't remember now. The other thing they have is a wonderful room where you can bring and donate extra yarn, needles. I actually had 2 knits that I brought. The one I remember, gosh, my brain is going. But I brought my Velocore that I finished earlier this year. That was, from the moment I made it, was a little too big for me, and then became even bigger for me. And it was such a beautiful knit. It was Andrea Mowry's Velocore. I'll stick a picture here of it. And I knew at Northern California Knitting Retreat, it's all knitters, all wonderful knitters. So I knew it would find a home and hopefully be loved. And so it was, and it was adopted by Marcia from the 2U's Fiber podcast. Kelly and Marcia have an awesome audio podcast if you haven't. And it was one of the things, I don't know why we did it, and next year I'm totally going to do it if I donate, is I should have attached a little thing saying, here's the pattern, here's the yarn, here's who put it. Because you would just put it into this room and you walk away. So if you like something, you don't know who made it and you can't thank them. And she actually went into the Velocore and hunted down based on it to come find me to say that she adopted it. So hopefully she is enjoying it, and that's great. Oh, Gail from the Yarniacs podcast. All podcasts I've listened to since they started, and most of them are a decade in probably. Anyways, you know how it goes, that, sometimes words are here, sometimes they're here, and then sometimes they go whoosh. Yeah, my friends are starting, because I am getting to the age where menopause will be a thing. So perimenopause, and I guess that's one of the symptoms, as like losing your words. I don't know if it's just that, if it's me, if it's the AGE, all of the above. Anyways, so in this room, I donated some knits, and I forget what the other one I brought was. I brought another one. Regardless, the Velocore is the one that went. And then I adopted something. Not very excited. I think I gotta wash it. I adopted this cute little just blue cardigan. Isn't it wonderful? It is just super basic. I used to have one kind of like this style, and yeah, I'm super happy it's gonna go into my ninny to wear. So I I rehomed 2 knits and I picked up 1 knit, and yeah, so I'm super pleased with it. And I do need to get it over into my other closet. I need to spray it down. Where I was storing it, I do constantly have to kind of fight a semi-moth problem. And I keep all of my yarn kind of in bins and everything now, and every so often certain yarns are yummier than others, and I just saw a little more moth on this, so I'm gonna have to rinse it and do that. I don't freak out about it anymore. It is what it is. I'm constant vigilant and trying to get it, but I just can't 100% get rid of them, and so I just have to do my best. So that was something I adopted. And then in that room you also do yarns and stuff. I tried to say I wasn't gonna get anything, but I was not successful. So what did I pick up? I picked up some random yarns, some random sock yarns. So it's just, I'm not even gonna take them out. I was crazy. I got a bag of just like, this is a shoppable and like oranges and greens, because that's me. This was just a sock yarn that I like the colors. Same thing with this one. And then some smaller balls. And then I picked up a whole skein of this. This is Blueface Leicester Silty K. It's this beautiful color. And then there's some more of these balls that were from it too. Someone must have did a project and had a little extra. Oh, that's just, what was that? Anyways. And so I'm going to probably do a hat or something with this. Like, it is this gorgeous purple blue, really rich yarn. And so I picked up that, and I tried to be very circumspect. It's so weird. I don't know what it is. I have a thing of yarn I picked up from Northern California last year too. These don't even technically make it into my stash officially. I don't know why. I picked up a new sock bag. My friend, you can read Home and Bags. My friend, this is for my friend Jenny, so I had to pick it up. She was Kitchen Countercraft. She no longer does bags, but this is an awesome triangle bag, which I've been wanting to get one. So I was very happy to see this, and this will be a new sock bag for me. And the last thing, which is one I'm very excited about. So there are a fair amount of weavers in this group, and so you do get weaving yarn as well. And so I picked up this. And this is, because it's Brown Sheep Company, 100% wool, Nature Sun Spun Sport, and it's about a pound. So over 1,000 yards. And this is going to be for my sweater that I want to do with my scraps, my sock scraps. So there's, I forget what's the pattern I'm going to use, but there's a few of them out there, of which the first one I think I saw was actually Summer Lee, that the sock designer. She had done one, but basically you hold yarns together and you can make a worsted weight sweater. And what I'd seen is people using like this, like a single kind of neutral color, and then using scraps of sock yarn. And so that's what I'm going to do. So this was actually on my list to kind of find one day, because I have a lot of sock scraps. Fingering weight scraps, and so I'm very pleased. It will probably not get cast on this year. I think I'll put it on my Make 9 for next year, and when I have some time, maybe like over the Christmas break, kind of pull together all of the sock scraps and try to, I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, if I'm going to do a theme, if I'm going to truly be crazy, or if I'm going to like go with a color family. I don't know, but super pleased. Super pleased. Super pleased. What else do I have? Oh, and I pick up a book. Stella, one of the ladies, goes there. I guess she goes to some type of book conference or something right beforehand. And so she brought these free books that were given. And one I just had to. It was just adorable. It's called Railroaded for Murder. And it just looks like kind of the very simple kind of mysteries that I like to read. So I'm gonna read this. Yeah, I mean, it's a little dog. Look at that face. So that was the other thing I picked up that I'm gonna read. Overall, it was another great trip. I mean, I love, as I said, I love that retreat. Love it so much. Other stories. And so I had a free Hilton night that I get through a credit card that I have or something. And previous years, the boyfriend and I have done a weekend away or things like that. I thought that's what we would do this year, but I kind of waited till it was expiring actually next week. And he didn't want to go anywhere because he has some upcoming trips, work trip, and he's going to Florida with me. And he's not a big fan of travel, which being with me, yeah, I adore him, and I recognize what he does like and what he doesn't like, and appreciate when he is willing to go. And so he is coming to Florida for my family trip. And then he had to go, or he is going to Japan. Oh, woe was him, but for work. And when I was like, hey, I want to use this night, I figured maybe we could do it this weekend, Memorial Day weekend. Maybe we could go Thursday. And he's just like, I already have so much travel coming up. He's like, I don't want to. And I was like, all right, well then I'll use it myself. And there's lots of resorts areas. And the great thing about this kind of free night certificate is you can use it at any Hilton property. And so I very much want to use it at a very high-end property that, you know, ones that go for $700 or $800 a night, because you don't pay for anything. So long story short, I decided to take Thursday off of work, and I booked a night at the Waldorf Astoria in Monarch Beach, which is in Dana Point, which is about an hour and 20 minutes from my house. Looked like a very pretty resort on the cliffs overlooking the beach, had spas, things like that. I wasn't, whatever. My plan was to go, relax. They had workout classes, so I was going to work out and I was going to hang out and knit. That's what I was going to do. And so I told him, and he was like, sure, go for it. So on Thursday, this past Thursday, I had work only till Wednesday, so that was wonderful. And then I got up and I went for a walk and chilled out, and then my car was gross. And my car is not gross. I drive a Mazda CX-5. It's 10 years old now, but I do drive on a construction site, and I was going to a 5-star resort. So I was like, let me get my car washed. So I went and actually got it detailed, which I don't do very often, but I had the time. So I went to the place I usually get the car washed and had a little bit more done. And then I was on the road. So it was like 10 o'clock. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to drive down because my goal was to be there around noonish. Didn't know if I'd be able to check in early, but I figured I could sit around outside and knit or whatever. And I am on the freeway for 5 minutes. And then my check tire light comes on. And I was like, okay, well, let me pull off, as you do. And it happened to be that where I went to my car wash, and then where I went away from my house and I was coming back towards my house. So the exit I get off on is the exit for my house because I knew the exact gas station I was going to go to. So I went to the gas station, pulled off there, and then pulled over to get air because I thought maybe I'm just low on my tires. And then I get down because I'm more than capable of checking the air pressure in my tires. I have the little thing or whatever. And then figured out which tire it was, went down to touch it, and then I get close to it and I can just hear the air leaking out of it. And I was like, okay. Then I played with the little valve stem where you put the air in, and it was just, the valve stem had broken off. And so I was like, okay. Well, and then the air was coming out a lot faster. So it was, and then it was flat. Yay, flat tire. Now, I have AAA, and capable person. Long story short, it's LA. It was busy. By the time AAA got there to change my tire, which I know how to change a tire, I just don't have all the tools to change a tire, and that's why I have AAA. They come, they do the little thing. It's so easy to do it and whatever. But it took over an hour for AAA to come to the gas station to change, to put my spare on. And then I had to go to a tire place, and it was another hour for them to fix my tire. And so by the time I got back on the road, it was 2-ish. So it took like 2.5 hours. And then by that time, traffic picks up because there's a lot of traffic in Southern California if I haven't been here. That was one reason for leaving kind of after morning traffic, but before evening traffic. Anyways, get there. I finally get there. Luckily, it's right at 4 o'clock, which is check-in. I was able to check right in, and I have a wonderful evening. I had a drink at the bar. I had a very yummy Paloma. I had Brussels sprouts. And then I took a little mini pizza and went back to my room and knit for the rest of the night and watched podcasts and some TV, and the room was beautiful, and I had a wonderful view of the resort, and I could see the ocean in the area in the distance, and it was beautiful. It was so nice. The next day I get up, and I was going to go to a fitness class, and then I ended up at the beach. And so then I was walking on the beach, and I got all my exercise, and my goal was I got up at I was out the door about 6-ish. I love walking around early, before people wake up and things like that. And so I was back in my room and showered and stuff by 8:30-ish. And then I was going to sit and knit for another few hours because I had a late checkout at noon and things like that. And I don't know why I didn't, but I didn't put on my do not disturb because I figured they would see when I checked out. In the 2.5 hours I was there, I had three different cleaning people try to come and clean my room. And they were all very apologetic when I opened the door, because this place has like little doorbell things. So they ring the doorbell, they wait, and then they're going to let themselves in. And I was like, nope, I'm still here. First time I was in my robe. Second time I just went. And then the third time I was just like, it was like a little after 11. And I'm like, you know what? This is not relaxing to me now. I was like, okay. I was like, fine. Time to go, get home. I was gonna, get home, get on the road. Awesome. I check out virtually, go down to the valet, which was the most expensive cost of the whole weekend. The valet there is, I think it was $70 a night. Super expensive. The most expensive thing I had. Give him my ticket and I'm waiting. And it was, checkout's 11 to 12, so it's busy and they're jumping around, and it's a very nice resort. So they're very quick and people are helping and whatever. So I'm standing there and I'm just listening. I think I was listening to a book. But then like 20 minutes go by and I go up to the thing. I was like, hey, I'd seen people literally come out after and get their car and go. And I was like, it's been 20 minutes. And they're like, oh, well, your key's not here, so it must be on its way. I was like, okay, it's as long as someone's trying to find it. A few minutes later, one of the older gentlemen, who must probably be one of the supervisors, like, we're trying to find your car. He showed me the keys. Like, we have your key, but we can't find your car. Okay, as long as you're still looking for it. Like, it can't be. I'm sure all the cars are parked in the same spot. So another 10 minutes go by and he comes back and he's like, yeah, we found your car. It was the spot it was in was written down wrong on the paperwork. And then he's like, normally how we would have found it is, you make the alarm go off. Sure, we've all done that when you're looking for your car. He's like, but your alarm won't go off. And I couldn't get into your car except using your emergency key. I was like, oh. And then he's like, and I can't get your car started. Okay, my initial thought is like, oh, maybe it's a key fob, because I just changed the key fob battery because I'd been having problems with it. So I was like, maybe it was a defective battery or something. It's something with the key fob that won't let you start the car. And then I was like, so I like pop off the thing and they're like, what? I'm like, well, pop it off. Maybe it was just, or lose connection with the battery on the key fob or something like that. And then another gentleman comes over and he's like, well, I'll take it and I'll go try to figure it out. I was like, okay. I'm still standing there. So now I'm, I don't know, 35 minutes into this, 40 minutes into this. No, it was probably longer by then. And finally he comes up, but he walks up and he's like, I was like, oh no. He's like, no, I got your car started. Someone else was bringing it. He's like, your battery was dead. He's like, I had to jump it. Okay. And so then they're very nice there. So then he's worried. He's like, where are you going? He's like, because, obviously you have battery issues. Do you have enough gas to get home? You shouldn't turn your car off. All the things you're supposed to do. And I was like, it's fine. I do have enough gas. I was going, back to LA. I know, how battery, whatever works, that kind of thing. But yeah. So then my drive back was fine. I made it home, but yeah, it was not the most relaxing day away. The actual resort was beautiful. And as I said, I did enjoy a nice night's sleep, and had a nice couch to sit in it on and everything, and a beautiful view, and walking down at the beach. I had breakfast at the beach. It was nice. But my car troubles there and back, I don't know. So yesterday, actually, my boyfriend and we went to the car place, and he brought the tools, and he just like changed the battery in the parking lot, because that's what you do here. So you can just give the old battery back right away. But yeah, so that's all taken care of. Apparently I hadn't had a new battery in 5 years, because I went back through my records. And so it was probably time for a new battery, which batteries are expensive. Always whatever. So that was my saga of my one night of relaxing away in this super nice resort, which it was, but then the saga of to and from. And hopefully all of my car issues are dealt with now for a while. I don't know. I'm due for an oil change shortly. So hopefully nothing comes up out of there. My car, as I said, is 10 years old. I'm starting to feel the hankering to get a new car. I don't need to. Mechanically, my car is in very good condition. I always take very good care of it. But it's getting a little tired. So But I told myself, even though it's over 10 years old, for LA, I drive it relatively not that much. And so I'm only up to, I don't know, a little less than 90,000 miles. I told myself I would drive it to 100,000 miles. Then I could potentially get a new car. So I have at least another year of driving. I'm sorry, my cat is down near my feet and she looks like she's stalking a bug or something. Yeah, but while we were out and about yesterday, we went to his mom's for breakfast. She made a wonderful breakfast. And then she pulled out yarns. I guess a old coworker of hers, mother had passed away. And so she had, because she's a crocheter, they had given her all these yarns. Now, most of them were like the weird linen, the very slinky, kind of toppy kind of stuff, like not stuff that I would necessarily knit with. And so she tried to give it to me and I was like, nope, not. I appreciate, but I do not need to be taking in yarns that I definitely know I'm not going to knit with. It was just a very slippery yarn, and it was like cotton and linen and like viscose and weird. Yeah. But she did have this, which I said I would take. And in this box, we have 10 balls of 100% Angora. It is white 100% Angora rabbit fur. No idea what I'll use it for, if I'll even be the one to use it, or maybe I will be the one to give it in. My light just adjusted weird. Huh. Anyways, yeah, so I don't know anything I want to make with rabbit fur, but it's kind of cool, I guess, that I have it now, maybe, sort of. I just consider myself very lucky that I was able to very nicely say no to all the other yarn she tried to give me. All right, I think that's all I have to show you. My light, I don't know why my light just went weird. It just went weird, but that's okay. We're almost done. What have I been doing? So spring events. So I've been going to soccer games. I've won a few of those. So there's been some sock knitting there. My theater tickets, we went and saw Girl from the North, which is a musical that came through. I didn't like it, which I can't say that about a lot of musicals. Most musicals, I enjoy a spectacle. I'll enjoy some of the music. But this one, it was like set in the Depression in Duluth in a boarding house. And it was Bob Dylan songs. And it was like a very depressing play interspersed with Bob Dylan songs that didn't necessarily relate to the story going around. The actors were talented in terms of the singing and things like that. I just didn't like the story, and it didn't gel for me. It didn't gel for me. So one of the few misses I've had in a long time of seeing any kind of Broadway musical, because I'm pretty easy, but I did not like Girl from the North. TV, watching my normal procedurals. I have gone through almost everything on Acorn, so I am switching, just canceled my Acorn membership, and now I'm switching back to BritBox. That will let me, or vice versa. No, I'm canceling my BritBox and going back to Acorn. And so then I'm going to catch up on Murdoch's Mysteries. I'm going to catch up on the Brokenwood Mysteries, which are out of New Zealand, and some of the other ones. And so I find kind of switching between the two lets me catch the shows on both, and that, there's no reason to have a subscription to all the things. Books. I have read 14 books since my April podcast, so I'm still carrying through. And when I say read, I've either the audiobook or listened to. So I'm up to 56 for the year. A lot of continuations of series. So the Robin Peterman Midlife Crisis, which is an audiobook series. I love that because it's like, it is so upbeat. The actress who reads it, it is so nonsensical and funny. And yeah, it's like 5.5 hours. So it's like super fast to get through while I'm doing a walk or something. or a few days. It's at least 2 or 3 days. What else am I reading? Shauna Kelly, her Bewitched series, which is based on another fantasy kind of romance series she did. She introduced a character in another book, and now she's having that character who is a witch. And it's all like shifter, paranormal kind of romance stuff. And so it was nice. I liked the characters, and it was very enjoyable. So that's the first book of the series. I think the second one's out already. So I'll be reading that soon. Fantasy, I'm reading the Druid Chronicles. I'm a book 9, and I'm actually reading book 10 right now, and that is the end of the series. And that is about a druid who has been living for many years in the various god pantheons. I like this series because the author has the gods of different pantheons be like beings, but recognizes that there's multiple pantheons and multiple things, and it's very well done. Rick Riordan, the Percy Jackson series, one of the original kind of young adult kind of fantasy series I love. He just came out relatively recently with a new Percy Jackson book, and so I love listening to those. And so I did listen to that as Chalice of the Gods, I think, and it was about him getting, doing various quests in order to get the recommendation letters from various gods for him to get into, the demigod college. So always a good romp, let's just say. Science fiction, Martha Wells, the Murderbot series. I read the latest one, System Collapse. I just love that. I love it. It's so well done. The audiobook is so well acted, and it's very technical because it's set in space, but it's all about relationships and AI and, and things like that, and what dealing with people. And yeah, it's hard science fiction, but it's so well done that even if you don't normally read like hard science fiction, but you are into any kind of, any kind of just relationships, it's really more about the relationships and less about the science. And so I'd highly recommend Martha Wells and her Murderbot series. And because the first one is a novella, you can just read that and see if you like it. And then if you don't, then you're out. You're not, you're done. But if you do, then you can get into, as I said, the first 4 were novellas, and then the next ones have been sorry. Apple is in the sun spot, which is at the bottom of my light base, and which is holding my phone up. So she's rocking against it a little bit as she's trying to readjust and stay in the sun. So shook a little bit. The world shook. And then mystery crime. I read the second Bruno, Chief of Police by Martin Walker. So that was good. And there's like a bunch of them. So I'm looking forward to kind of getting in there. But I do, again, love the characters of this quaint French village and how they interact with the people. And then, yeah, upcoming travels. So Zombie Apocalypse in the end of June. I think it's the 19th through the 23rd. That's in Rochester, Minnesota. Been going to that for quite a few years. So I will be seeing friends and stuff there. That will be fun. And then I come back, and then very shortly thereafter, the boyfriend and I go to Florida in July. But that is where my grandmother lives. My entire family will be coming down. So my mom, my brother, sister, my nieces, nephews. And so we will be seeing the family. My uncle, I think my aunt's flying out for my grandmother's birthday. So we'll be doing all that. And then in that trip, I will be taking my nieces to Disney World for 2 nights. So my 14-year-old niece and my 4-year-old niece. My nephew, who is 23, does not desire to go. So the boyfriend and I will be taking them. We'll be staying on resort and just going, I think, to the Magic Kingdom and the Animal Kingdom is my plan. So that will be fun. And then going to Vancouver with my college girlfriends. That will be fun for a long weekend. Then I'm going to Virginia with some other friends for a week in August. And then the end of September into October, I'm taking 3 weeks off of work. I'm going to go to Morocco for 2 weeks. Then I'm going to spend a few days with my family in Rhode Island. And then I'm going to Rhinebeck, and then with friends. And then I'm coming home. So that is all the travel I have planned right now. It's enough. It's a lot. I'm very excited. And yeah, exciting to be knitting. I've been looking at various knitting Trying to figure out what my next knitting projects are. Yeah, I have a few teas and other things. And then with all the knitting events upcoming, do I want to buy more yarn? And I kind of don't, but I always say that. So we'll see. In the meantime, I just have to, yeah, I have to work on it. So that's kind of all I got today. I hope everyone has been having a wonderful start to their summer or winter if you're in the other part of the world. And I am looking forward to summer. As I said, I have a bunch of travel coming up. I'm excited with my knitting right now. I'm excited. I'm just excited. My work is coming down into my slow phase, so my projects are almost done. So we are in the end of the contractor finishing out all their punch lists. Then we're going to be waiting a few months while we're waiting for our permit to operate. And then I probably will be starting up the facilities until the end of the year. But that means I'm kind of, you know, where I've been going, running full pace and haven't been so busy the last few years. Now I'll kind of be a bit slower for a little bit, which is nice. So I'll take the time off. That's how I can take 3 weeks off, which I would never do if I was in the middle of my construction project. But I should be, work should be able to carry on without me very easily. So that would be nice. So yeah, so I'm super excited. And I just hope everyone has a good beginning of June. And I have one more day off because tomorrow is the holiday. So I'm super excited about that. The sun has finally come out. And it is, we are in May gray, June gloom, all of that. The heavy marine layer that sticks around until very late in the day. So it is what it is. But the rest of the time, the weather here is beautiful. Anyways, that's a wrap from Hollywood, where fantasy meets fiber and dreams are knit. If you're looking for me, I'm Allison1031 on Instagram as well as Ravelry. And